If you could change something about this world, what would it be?
Politics. The dirty politics has to come to an end. Everybody should gather and speak up about dirty politics, because it's come to a stage where politics, the word politics, is being given a bad name because of where it's been taken to. Every single criticism or negativity that is thrown at me, I take it all very positively now. Motivated myself, and I decided that every single program that I will be doing from now on will be to safeguard and to uplift the children and women of this country. You know, there is a Sinhala saying, "Palayati gahatai gal gahanne." So I believe that is what happens.
Welcome everyone, you're watching another episode of Conversations with me, Alanki. On today's episode, I have a very special guest with me. She's a beautiful and empowered lady. She's an accountant by profession, but she's an entrepreneur who founded Jal Salons 13 years ago. She's well known as the wife of the opposition leader, Honorable Jalani Premadasa. However, how well do we really know her? Let's find out in this conversation. Welcome to this conversation, Mrs Jalani Premadasa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying yes, and I do look forward to having a heart-to-heart with you.
Of course.
Let's first speak about your journey. You're an accountant by profession, but yet you ventured into business. And you're a woman entrepreneur. How has this journey as an entrepreneur been?
Well, it hasn't been an easy journey for me, because I started my business 13 years ago.
Right.
I got into business actually because my parents, I come from a business background.
Right.
My mother and father both were involved in their respective businesses and very successful businesses. So my sister and I, we actually sort of saw entrepreneurs as our role models. So I guess when time came, I wanted to have something of my own and to be an entrepreneur myself. And that's how I began Jal's Salon. I think for me, or for anybody actually, being a business person is not an easy thing. I think it's a tough task even for a man or a woman.
Absolutely.
So, there are so many things you have to look into: financial management, to brand investments, to competition that you might have to face. So these are many things that you have to be able to adapt to.
Right.
And it's like a roller coaster, having a business. It's always ups and downs. And you have to, as a good entrepreneur, I believe you have to be able to adapt the good and the bad and make the best of it. So for me, it has been a very fruitful journey the last 13 years. And I have quite enjoyed myself starting my own venture.
That's beautiful. You're a woman entrepreneur. And like you said, it's not an easy task. How do you hope to use your position and influence to empower other women?
Well, actually, I don't say that I know everything there is to, but I've had 13 years of, over a decade, I would say, experience of being in business. So along the way, I have been through a lot of hard tasks, faced a lot of issues, and with that, I've gained a lot of experience and knowledge. And I believe with that, I could be able to help and empower women in our country through education, women empowerment programs, self-employment programs, health and nutrition programs. I think with all this together, with a helping hand, we could definitely make the women of this country stand up on their feet, because I know the importance of financial independence.
Absolutely.
So, and with financial independence and a good support system, I think women are more empowered.
Right.
So that is what I want to instill in the women of this country, because it is very important that they are financially stable. That gives them confidence to move forward, and also it's so beneficial to the household and the improvement of the household if they're financially stable. And financially stable with a support system, they're actually empowered women. And it gives them the confidence that they require to achieve more in their lives. And I believe personally that there's nothing a woman cannot do.
Absolutely.
I think the best thing I could, little thing that I just saw a couple of days ago. I was waiting for Sadiq to come home after one of his meetings, and I was watching CNN. And there was this interview that Christiana Amanpour was doing with Cher. She was actually speaking on how much she has achieved during the course of a time frame as a woman. And now she is very politically active. And she was politically active also in the presidential election that just concluded about a month or so ago. And she was speaking of President-elect Biden and Vice President Harris about how great it is for a woman to hold such a big position. And one thing that she said actually struck me. And when I was actually coming for this interview, it resonated, and I thought, I should bring this up, because she said, women are strong. There is nothing a woman cannot do, and women are brave. And I believe if the women of this country are given a helping hand, and they are empowered and encouraged to empower themselves, there is nothing they cannot do.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Now, there's much that is known about a politician, and the focus is always on the politician. But not much is known about the sacrifices and the commitments and the efforts that the family of a politician makes. What has your journey been like as the wife of a politician, and what has been the most challenging aspect of being a politician's wife?
Well, being a politician's wife is never an easy thing. I think as a wife, or as any wife, immaterial of what their husband's job is or career is, there is a great amount of aspirations, great amount of sort of things that we expect from our husbands. But as a politician's wife, you can't really have that much expectations. You can't have that much expectations. So, because when we started off in politics, this was over 2 decades ago.
Right.
Sadith wasn't even in parliament then. We were actually concentrating more on the social work aspect of all the work that he was doing. 6 months into our marriage was when he had to contest the parliamentary election for the first time. He didn't want to, because he was very protective of me, and he didn't want to sort of expose me to the dark side of politics.
Right.
But I encouraged him. And he did contest, and that was the beginning of his political journey thus far. And during that course of that time, with all the great work that he did, I saw the stress that was, that came upon him and the toll it was taking on him. So actually, as a politician's wife, I had to take a step back and reevaluate my expectations on him. And I think with that, I realized that having a conventional relationship or a marriage is not a possibility. It's not a conventional relationship would be, you have dinner with your husband every night because you have a
Right.
9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
Or, you can go out to dinner every weekend because you can do so and go on holiday whenever you want. But it's not the case with us. But I realized, as much as that is a sacrifice, the things that you miss out on are always rewarded in some other way. And I have learned a great deal from Sajid throughout the course of the years, and also watching him work and watch actually the great work that he does. So for me, it was right now more than a sacrifice. It's been more rewarding
Wow.
as a wife.
That's just amazing. I mean, it's obviously not easy because it comes with it comes with a lot of sacrifices and challenges, and you are scrutinized extensively by the media and by people. How do you deal with all of this? And also, I'd like to know why do you think you are scrutinized so much?
Well, I think, well, if you say negativity is scrutinized, I would believe it's because I'm a politician's wife. I don't believe that this internet trolls or these
Right.
troll farms that are set up in this country, and also biased media owners and media institutions, I don't believe is real media either. If I was not Jalani Premadasa, I don't think anybody is going to bother if I make a mistake in a word or make a mistake in a letter where you need to be scrutinized for it. But of course, I have to say I have my husband, who is a great strength to me, who always, encourages me to, go forward and not to take any of these things to heart. The fact that they scrutinize you, let's just take a good example. Just very recently, you would have seen the budget debate was on. Our country is at the moment facing a pandemic, and there are multiple deaths every day. There are people starving in this country and are taking onto the streets. Businesses are collapsing and the economy is collapsing. The budget debate that was held was something that was to address the issues that the people of this country were having.
Right.
But instead, what did they do? They use the cover of Parliament, this institution where all decisions are made for the people in this country. They use that platform to absolutely hammer my husband and his character. It got so bad, and it was so ugly to watch, because it was not relevant to anything that was this country and the people of this country are facing at the moment. It went to such an extent that they tried to, they were absolutely going on at him. And when that ended, they turned it on to me. Who am I? I'm just his wife.
And how
I'm
is
not
it,
even a
and
parliamentarian.
how is it relevant?
Exactly. And I'm not even a parliamentarian, and I can't even defend myself. And they went to the extent of saying that I had used election money to run my business. I mean, how ridiculous is that? My business is 13 years old. It's over a decade. I don't need any money to run my business. It's running on its own. I mean, that's the kind of, very sad to say, dirty politics that we have sort of are facing now. And I think that there has to be a time where all this should come to an end, because this negativity that you speak of is actually it's not for me. They use me to hammer and hit my husband.
Right.
So I'm just a bystander in this whole thing, this whole game of politics. And I don't think spouses ought to be brought into the political arena. Even when all these things were said in Parliament, you know, they accuse you, and they accuse you of things in the cover of parliamentary privileges. So you really can't even speak on it, or you can't really even go to courts about it. You can't really do anything about it. But it's very sad that they do that because they want to attack my husband, and because I support him. I support him is because I believe in the work that he does, because I have been with him for 22 years and I've seen the great work that he's done. I'm not talking politics, I'm talking about the social work aspect of it. So for me, I support him because I believe in him, and I believe in him being a leader of this country one day. And so because of that, because I support him, and because I'm his wife, and because they need to attack him,
They use you.
I get caught in the crossfire.
Right. You are your own person at the end of the day. You're not the traditional wife of a politician. You have your own business, you're an entrepreneur. But at the same time, you do make an effort, and you do make time to contribute and help your husband in his journey as a politician. But when they attack you, at the end of the day, you are a strong person, no doubt. But you are human. Does it ever get to you?
Oh yes, of course. More so before than now. When we started off when he started off in politics, and when we got married, it was pretty hard then, because I wasn't used to it. We were very, brought up very sheltered children. So for me, this is all very new. Politics is very new, but it was very hard at the beginning. I used to be very upset, cry, go into a shell. But then I had my greatest strength, Sajid, by my side. He would always encourage me to, stand up, go, don't worry about these things. Because end of the day, as he always says, these things are done because they're threatened by what we do. So it does get you down, but you have to be able to shake it off and go on. And I think as time has gone by, every single criticism or negativity that is thrown at me, I take it all very positively now. One incident was during the parliamentary elections, and this is the very first time I'm speaking of this as well. During the parliamentary elections, there's a lot of unnecessary banter that goes on up and down, and criticisms and all that, as an election is in this country. But the very sad thing was that they used me as stage talk at speeches. they actually criticized me and laughed at me for not having children. And I think that is dirty politics at its worst.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think it should matter to anybody what my husband and I would decide on, whether we should have children or we shouldn't have children. But on my part, I mean, it was very sad because for me it was the fact that I love children, but I had very severe health conditions, and I went through a very bad health issues that prevented me from having a child. And this is the first time I'm speaking of it. So, and that was a thing that Sajid and I had to face. But for them to take that and to attack him was, I think, an all-time low in politics.
And it's so uncalled for and unprofessional.
Absolutely unprofessional. But at the same time, for me...
And it's such a sensitive topic.
Of course.
You don't just talk about not having kids. I mean, it's a very sensitive matter to you and your husband, and it's private.
Exactly. But I realized, you know, if you can stoop that low in politics, Sajid and I would never go down that road. Instead, I actually motivated myself, and I decided that every single program that I will be doing from now on will be to safeguard and to uplift the children and women of this country. And that's what I do now. You know, there is a Sinhala saying, Palayati gahatai gal gahanne.
Yeah.
So I believe that is what happens. And so I believe with all these accusations that
And
has
all the
been thrown,
negativity.
negativity that's been thrown around, I drive positivity out of it. And I will use that positivity to help the people of this country, especially the children and women of this country.
That's just beautiful and very inspiring.
Thank you.
If you could change something about this world, what would it be?
Politics.
What about politics?
I think politics in general. I think the dirty politics has to come to an end.
Absolutely.
And I think all citizens should, it doesn't have to be in Sri Lanka, wherever. I don't think it's that bad everywhere else. But I think everybody should gather and speak up about dirty politics, because it's come to a stage where politics, the word politics, is being given a bad name.
Mm-hmm.
Because of where it's been taken to. And if I had to change anything in this world, it would be that, because actually, to be very honest, I don't think the world could be changed. Mm-hmm. It is I who need to change.
Wow.
If all citizens could make a change in a positive way, I think we'll be all living in a beautiful world.
That is just so profound and beautiful. We've come to the final question, and it's deviating from all the politics and the heart-to-heart conversation we've been having. What is an ideal day like for you? How do you spend your free time?
I would love to find some free time. But if I did have some free time, I would love to curl up and watch some movies. That would be lovely.
I've also heard that you like going to Yala.
Yes, of course. I was coming to that as well.
Right.
That's the other thing I would love to do, is to go spend the whole day or a couple of days in Yala with Sajid.
Right.
Just enjoying the beauty of nature and completely relaxing, because it's a completely different world. And yes, I would love to do that.
Wonderful. We have come to the end of this interesting conversation. I do feel that we had a heart-to-heart.
Of course we
it was
did.
a woman-to-woman conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure. I do hope our viewers enjoyed watching this conversation. I will be back with another episode next week. Until then, take care and stay safe.